Hi, I think you're going to have to forgive me. I was late putting the camera on, so we've missed a lot of this starting off into the overfalls, so it'll get straight into it. We departed here, the northeast corner of Anglesey. This is our passage around this corner here. Let's go. This is the first hour of the new flood, so there's not much overfalls here, but it'll give you an idea to what they can get to. The wind over tide here is 15 knots of wind, over the tide being the second day after Neeps. The engine is on and we're in forward gear, got about 1800 RPM on, which normally would equate to about 3.5 knots. I have a double reefed mainsail, not so much for drive, more for damping the action of the boat. I don't actually like to move through overfalls quickly. I much prefer to be going as slow as possible and just maintain steerage, let the tide do the work. I say this because the wind over tide situation makes a very short chop, resulting in the fetch, which is the peak from one wave to the next wave, being quite close together. Once they become closer together than the length of the boat that's trying to go through them, it means you can drive into the next one with your bow. If you drive into a wave too fast with your bow, it will go through the wave, bringing green water up onto the deck. If you watch the cockpit of Chile closely, you will note she is stable and not rolling at all, holding a steady, even platform. A wide beam, plain in colour at this point, would sit on the surface of the water, and as the surface of the water is rolling, it would force the boat to roll from port to starboard, causing the occupants to be uncomfortable in the cockpit. As I can now see clearly my way out of here, I'm going to release the main from damping the boat into driving the boat, and the boat might pick a little pace up. I can see ahead of me the edge of the overfalls about 200 yards away, so that's my new heading. In windier weather it's much harder to spot the end of the overfalls. As usual, Chile doesn't seem to be bothered much about the waves or the conditions of the water around her, and keeps me bone dry in the cockpit. Not one drip of water has entered the cockpit. The waves at this point don't seem much higher than a metre and a half at best. But it's the way they actually characterise themselves in not one direction, in sort of any direction goes at once. So you don't know whether you beam onto a wave or bow onto a wave. The last couple of waves seem to have stopped me dead in the water, and I have to push hard on the helm in order to try and get my heading back in place. I need to wait for the boat to pick up at least a knot before it starts gripping. This is the area where I think people are more tempted to use more power, and more power I think puts you in a more dangerous situation with the chances of burying the bow. Keeping the hull speed down pays off. It gets you through on the tide anyway, so all you actually need is your steerage, and as you can see now ahead of me is the overfalls dissipating. It is important when going round the corner, however, to stay just on the edge of the overfalls for as long as you can. Not forgetting what's making the overfalls is the movement of water, which in this particular case is your friend because it's going the same direction as you. Move too far away and you could find yourself in a back eddy going back where you come from. Here's my thumbs up to say we're right the way through, and here's my bro still on his hobby horse. It's times like this I think a lot about hull design. What makes one boat more comfortable than another? What keeps one platform stable while another platform's jumping up and down? Why do people choose different types of boats? It's probably because not one boat can do everything. Every boat has its strong points, and when you're actually picking your boat, you need to pick them to the strong points that you want, whether it's speed, comfort, looks, they all play a part in it. I think the biggest flaw we make when buying a boat is just looking at the strong points, completely forgetting about that for every plus there's normally a minus, and that's the bit that normally catches us out by surprise. Over the years, I've owned about 15 different sailing yachts and about 5 different sailing dinghies and an odd couple of fishing boats as well. All in the search to find the perfect one, which I can assure you there isn't. What you do learn, however, is there are horses for courses. Boats that'll do this well and boats that'll do that well, and that's where you need to work out what you actually want from the boat yourself. My favourite bit of Sima Chile is its comfort. It always feels comfortable. It never seems to be on the edge of anything. It has a big disadvantage, however. It don't go to windward that well. I can close haul, but it doesn't actually close haul like a racing boat, and it's not fast. It won't do 7 knots to windward. It won't even do 6 knots to windward. I'm normally extremely happy if I can go to windward of 5 knots. On the other hand, lose 5 to 10 degrees and go from a close haul to a close reach, and she'll creep from 5 to 6 to 6.5, and she'll knock on 7's door sometimes. So I normally just plan that into my sailing, stay away from tacking. But unfortunately, that's what I'm doing all the way back today. I'm heading southeast. The wind is easterly, which is quite tight for me, and I've got 17 miles to run from here at that rate. So hopefully, if I can make 5 knots for that distance, it's 3 hours, that'll keep me happy. The windy forecast was for 15 knots all day, but we were having 18 to 20 at some points on the way here, and because we had a slight bit of broad reach, the sail plan didn't really matter. But going back, I need to keep at least 1 reef in if I'm going to get 18 knots on the nose. I would normally be comfortable with 18 knots on the nose, getting 2 reefs in. So I've got 2 reefs in at the moment. So I'm going to leave it like that to see how she settles for a bit. My shoes are driving me mad. When we went ashore, I got my favourite one soaking wet. By accident, of course. And now I've got my non-favourite ones on, and I'm trying to wait for my favourites to dry back out again. I don't know where my brother's gone, and I don't know why that engine's still on either. He just disappears at the first chance. I'll spend the rest of the day trying to catch him. I'm trying to go into the wind. I don't think I've got any hope whatsoever. I may not be as fast as him, but when we were in the overfalls, it certainly looked a lot more comfortable on this boat than it did on that one. I think we seem to be slowing down already. A couple of little waves slowing me up. The wind seems to have come a little bit closer on me and forcing me to pinch, which this boat definitely does not do. I think it's time to sheet the jib in a little bit tighter, as this boat's fallen out of its groove. I'm not going to flatten it, I'm still going to leave some shape. As if when I flatten it, it has no effect whatsoever and does not pull the boat at all. It needs a small amount of cup at all times. It seems to sail better just on luffing. That's when the sail is just about to flutter, the maximum pull at that point. But still, we've not got enough power to get back in that groove, so I think we best bring his mate out, the staysail. These two out together, sheeted in but with a little bit of lightness in them, normally pull the boat along to anything. Even on their own with nobody at the helm, they just want to go windward. Another good point about having a flying jib and a staysail is there's very little use for winch handles. On this size of sail, you can normally draw them in yourself. The jib's 110 and the staysail's 77 square feet. She's moving now, but she still feels a tad under-canvassed, and I still feel a bit reluctant to shake out a reef. The wind appears to have changed again just a little bit, but not on the nose, back off the nose, leaving my sails a little bit tight. So rather than lose the sail plan I just set up, I'm going to alter my course and make a bit of ground instead. As it's the wind vane steering, I have to clamber to the back to give it a twist. The boat is now starting to feel a little bit better in the water, not 100% in its groove, but edging towards it. Well, at least we're heading in the right direction, and we're moving quite well. I think we're somewhere around the 5 knots, but not confirmed it yet. A quick look to see how them foresails are set. Seem to be happy with that. Well, I wonder how fast we're going. We're nearly at the 548, 49ish mark. Time for a little bit of camera work. Let's get a shot of where we've been. If I can set the camera. Looking back at Linus. Our starboard side hills. And our heading. And as you can see, that's fairly close for me for the wind. Even if she's not fast at this point, she's comfortable and she's making passage. I still think I can get a little bit more out without dropping a reef. Squeeze the main a little. I wonder how fast we're going. Well, let's have a peek. How fast? Not fast enough, eh? There you go. It was a good call. 20 minutes later, 5.5 to 6 knots. Quite happy with that. She's found a groove. She's found the extra bit of wind. I'm always pleased with my over 5 knots going to windward from a gaffer, as it's its weak point. It's a nice place to sit. I'm above the life raft on a plank at the push pit. You've got excellent view, and on a day like today you've got good sunshine to keep you warm as well. My brother would say it's a good vantage point to see where he's got to. I'm sure one day he'll just disappear over the horizon and I won't see him again. I've switched to the electric auto helm because I found that the wind one, because the wind was fluky, kept changing direction on me just a little bit too much. And when you're pinching or very close hold, it's hard work to keep on the right direction if you're not on the tiller yourself. This is Sima Chile's comfortable angle for going into the wind. It's 15 to 20 degrees-ish. It varies around the 5 degrees at that point. The gunnels stay just above the water, which is nice. The wind's dropping gently, just a little bit, a couple of knots. As long as we've still got 5.5 knots, I'm more than happy. The Jolly Roger's having fun again. Okay, let's get that brew on then. It's not till you get below and you see where the cooker angle is that you realise what 20 degrees looks like. Now, pouring water I always find strange, but there you go. Once it's done, all you got to do is light the cooker. And if it don't light the cooker again. Let's get that kettle on. Give the cup a quick wash because it was coffee last time. It's going to be tea this time. I look like I'm leaning forward now, but I'm actually standing up straight. My, that boiled fast. I suppose that's the magic of editing. Still fairly stable down below to make a nice brew, even when close hauled. The AIS has just been beeping with a proximity warning. There she is, creeping up on my pork quarter. As she motors past me, I can't help thinking, what a waste of diesel. Well, we said goodbye to Mulvra and we said goodbye to Red Wharf Bay, and we're coming up on Puffin Island now. This is a strange shot. White water, green water, white water, green water. 1 minute we're above the water, next minute we're below. And you think I'm hanging the camera over the side, but I'm not. I'm down below, enjoying my cup of tea. Well, I'm still close hauled, and I'm still heading for home, and I'm still managing over 5 knots, so I'm still very happy. That's the boat that motored past me, and if you look at the dot in front of that, that's my brother. Does everybody pass me? This is the pen outfall marker and means I'm way out the channel. Well, sails down, engine on, through the buoyage system, heading into the river estuary. That's a beautiful sunset on the perch. People still out, enjoying the last of the evening sunshine. Being washed quite quickly into the river. It moves quite fast. It seems to be moving quite quickly past the buoys, so you've got to keep a sharp eye out for them because they pop up on you in seconds. Not forgetting this is only a neap. Conway Marina on my starboard side as I'm going down the river. And there you go, the Ganway Marina, my lovely marina on the port side, home for Sima Chile. Here we are back safely in our berth. Hope you enjoyed the voyage.